sometimes the most simple bits of gear actually need the most explanation. Let's put it this way, if I plug a fuzz pedal in, it's pretty easy for me to let you know how it sounds and how it works. It's going to be quite obvious, but this pedal is something a little bit different. This is the EL34 pedal from Rift. Now, Rift are a British amplifier maker, very small production, and if you follow this channel, you'll know that my favourite amp that I bought last year was a Rift amp. It was the Aynsley Lister Signature amp, which is an EL34 British voiced amp, combo amp with reverb. Now, this pedal came out near the end of last year and it intrigued me because I thought, you know, some of the Rift amps are pretty expensive, unobtainable perhaps. If they've released a pedal that might give you some of their tone and their attention to detail in a less expensive package, it's worth testing. So this is going to be a 3-part series. Each video is not going to be too long though. This pedal needs some explanation because it's unusual, and really what I want to go into in this first part is just what does it do to an American voiced amp. Now that's probably a scenario that a lot of people would use this for, putting this British voiced pedal in front of an American voiced amp to give them the opportunity to play a gig with some American voiced stuff, some British voiced stuff in one amp. So let's see how well this does that. Now what we've got today is the Tone King Sky King. It's probably the most American voiced of the amps I've got in many ways. It's somewhere between Tweedy and Blackface with gorgeous reverb and tremolo, and it's really warm, which is sort of the opposite of what you think of with those more raspy, mid-heavy, gritty EL34 type amps. You know, the later 60s and onwards Plexi Marshall amps, they're EL34 amps. So how does this pedal work? Okay, well it's got two sides to it. It's got the on and off side, which is supposed to be used at unity with your amp. So you set the volume so it's about the same level as your amp, and you can use the tone to then colour the voice. Then you've got a boost side, which you can use the gain. Now this is not an overdrive pedal. It doesn't feel like or play like an overdrive pedal. And I've seen comments on other videos on other channels, like say Anderson's videos, saying, oh, what's the point of this pedal? It's just another overdrive and pretty expensive for that. But it's not really, and I've come to that conclusion having played all of these demos already today. But let's hear some of this first. So we're using a broadcaster, Fender broadcaster into the Tone King to start with, and you'll hear the amp clean where needed by itself, and it will be all written up on the screen as usual. And what we really want to hear today is what does this pedal do in its most basic format. So I'm not really playing with the tone control, which is actually probably the most important part of this pedal. That's going to be in part 2, but let's decide what this can do in its most simple way. With the volume on the pedal at unity, it doesn't make a lot of difference. I couldn't feel too much of a difference, and I couldn't hear too much of a difference in the room. Now again, I'm not playing with the tone control. The EQ on this pedal is an important part, and we're going to get to that, as I said. But what I want to do now is turn the pedal above unity to see what that does. I don't know why they tell you to play it at unity. I guess if you're just not wanting to use it as a boost at all and you just want to affect the EQ only. So again, we'll get to that. Perhaps I could have structured this whole thing a little bit better, but I wanted to give an episode to the tone control by itself. So I'm going to turn the volume now up. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, so that's where I started to feel a difference here. What I like about this pedal is the amount of headroom it gives. It's really high quality. The whole thing is point-to-point wired, no PCBs, nothing. It uses the same components as the Rift amps. And now that I can see or feel and hear the difference with the pedal on and off at this volume, you start to feel that. There's a bit more, what's the right word, tension under the fingers, and you've lost some of the low-end bloom of the 6L6s and the sort of warmer American voice, and you start to get a little bit more of that British voiced upper end, upper mids. So it's making a subtle difference at that point. Now, I'm not sure I could tell anyone to buy a pedal just based on that, unless it was the only thing that they really wanted, but we need to dig deeper. So now I want to turn the volume of the amp up and see what sort of difference that makes. This is such a high headroom amp. We're going to go up to volume 6 on the amp now and see what it sounds like. Okay, I went back and forth there once or twice just to sort of give you more examples. Again, it's subtle, it's not going to blow your mind. At the same time, once you start to use it, you think, yeah, this could really be useful to give a change of voice, a change of pace, you know, whilst you're playing throughout a gig or even in the middle of a song, depending. Now, we know this pedal is going to offer more once we start playing with the other half and with the tone control. But just as an always on, if you've only got an American voiced amp and you want something a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, let's say spankier, more tension, and yet it will not reduce the quality of your amp. In fact, it could even, I guess, improve the quality of your amp, being that you're now passing the signal through such a high quality thing. I'm not sure that makes sense, but all I can say is it's not degrading your tone at all, and plugged into, you know, an expensive high-end amp like a Tone King, Sky King, this pedal fits right in and doesn't feel like I'm playing a pedal, which is always for me one of my things that I think about. You know, if I feel like I'm playing a pedal, then it might not be what I want, because I like transparency and I like to keep the quality of the amp. So at this point, I'm sort of like, yeah, good. I wouldn't pay 250 quid just for this part, of course, but it's a good start. So of course we need to kick on the other side. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so I turned the amp down to 5 just to give us a bit more space to use this gain, and then I went through 9 o'clock, 12 and 3 o'clock, and it really adds crunch. It doesn't feel like that warm tube overdrive you get from an overdrive pedal. It doesn't feel like it's pushing the tubes the way that when you push a preamp, you know, with an overdrive pedal, and it becomes more and more compressed. This has crunch, which is such that British voiced sort of sound that you get with a lower gain Marshall sort of amplifier, and I really enjoyed it. But you have to sort of alter the way you think about it, because you've turned a pedal on and you think it's going to be an overdrive, it's, you know, that you've got used to this idea, but it doesn't give you the same thing under the fingers that would, you know, the sort of compression, the sustain and all of those things. It's really not doing that. So it's quite interesting, and it's taken me a bit of time to get my head around what this pedal could be used for. I think all 3 parts of this series have to come together. We're going to do with the tone control, which is supposed to be a major part of this, turning it more and more crunchy, I guess, as you push the tone up. We'll figure that out. But then I want to play this with other pedals, with fuzz and with overdrive pedals, to see what it's like. Also in episode 2, I want to compare the Tone King Sky King with the EL34 pedal to my Rift Aynsley Lister. So I think that'll be possibly the most interesting part of this, to see if it can give you something similar to that amp. But next, just to finish this video off, we've got to use some humbuckers. So let's hear it with this Gibson ES345 Marcus King. I really enjoyed playing it with that, and with the humbuckers I could feel the difference more. It was obviously pushing the amp more, and these Marcus King pickups are quite compressed and quite high output really, so I felt that difference more. Really enjoyed it, and it did give me that British thing, that that sort of tweed on steroids, I guess, because, you know, the Marshall sound is really like a Fender amp pushed more and more with more upper mids and everything, and that's what this amp, this pedal is giving you. So I hope you found this interesting today to get you into this. I guess I'm actually sort of portraying my confusion to you a little bit, which is what I found when I got this pedal. So this 3-part series will be a little journey for us to sort of understand exactly what's going on and how we're going to use it. By the end of the 3rd video, hopefully I'll be able to give you a concrete answer. So if you want to follow along, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think down below. Would you ever spend 250 quid on this? Or maybe keep your judgment back until after the next 2 videos and let me know. The other thing I want to say is, I'm going to be giving away a pedal when I hit 5,000 subscribers. If you've not been on my channel much before, I've done this before at various milestones. I'm going to choose that pedal next week and then announce it in another video. But if you want to get in on that, you have to subscribe to the channel publicly and you have to comment on a video. So comment from now on and you'll be included in that. It will be a really good pedal, let's put it that way, and worth winning, considering it doesn't cost you anything to enter. Just subscribe to the channel and yeah, there you go. So see you in a few days for the next part where we'll be discussing the tone controls in a lot more detail and seeing how it compares to the Rift Aynsley Lister amp.